the launch process. Because that's the brain trust. You protect your brain trust. You'll put everyone at risk. And move this forward. And the financial people, however, need to see the best we can put forward. And so what I'm encouraging the new energy and the electromagnetic engineers who are here and listening is to come together and let's put together the best 1 to 6 systems that exist. Not that might exist or could exist in a year or 5 years, but they can be put together relatively soon so that those can be put in front of the network that has already been lit up. We already have lit up this network who know and who want to jump on board to move this forward. And I think that we'll see that there's more support than you can imagine. It will be breathtaking. It can't be achieved. No one person, I can't do it by myself. An inventor working in Oklahoma or Salt Lake City or Calabasas, California, or Denver, or wherever by themselves can't either. And the tragedy is that they haven't had the support that they deserve. They have done enormous work, many of them Promethean task and heroically. And they have not had this kind of protection and support, not just financial, but support, real support, from a whole coalition of people who will say, we're going to stand there with you, no matter what, to see that this gets done. And I'll never forget when I was with Ambassador Jim George of Canada, who's a wonderful man. He sort of was instrumental in bringing the Dalai Lama out to the West and did some of the original environmental books in the 70s. And he's a Canadian ambassador, and he's on our team. And he and I were talking about this a couple years ago, and he said, you know, I will do anything. I will step in front of a bullet. I will do anything necessary to help get this done and achieve this. And we have several hundred people of his caliber and connections and fortitude and spiritual resolve and integrity to do this. You can't purchase this. And if there's anyone who thinks that something like an undertaking this profound can be achieved with anything short of that resolve, they're mistaken. Because if it was that easy, it would have been done before I was a twinkle in my father's eye. I was born in 1955, and I can assure you, by 1955, we already had the means to extract energy from the fabric of space-time. We already had the means for mass cancellation, so-called anti-gravity effects. We already had them. T. Townsend Brown was working on this 20s, 30s, 40s, and it had been going way beyond what you know about that he actually had. We already had all that.
And the Dodgers won the World Series.
Yeah, and the Dodgers won the World Series. So we have all had that ability. Now, and so the big message here is a message of hope. Because my children, and God bless me, my little 2-year-old grandson over here in D.C., what kind of world are we leaving them with the zero-sum game of fossil fuels? We're cannibalizing the biosphere when we have amongst us, on Earth today, the knowledge, the brain trust, the ability, the skill, and I feel now with what Arrow has put together, the strategic leadership to move this forward. It is a moral obligation, and a sacred one in my view, that we do this. So that's what we're committed to doing. And I think that to the extent that all of you here can join with us, and in whatever way you're comfortable, and whatever means you have is important. It really doesn't matter if you're carrying a thimbleful or a gallon measure. If everyone carries what they can carry, it'll get done. And that's really important that we realize, and that we stand together shoulder to shoulder to achieve it. And that's what has been missing. And I believe now that with a lot of hard work and hard knocks that we went through starting in 1990, with these projects and with the people who are in this control apparatus that's kept these things secret, 50% of them or so now would like to see this done. The question is, why don't they go ahead and do it? Because they don't want the question asked, what did they know and when did they know it? Number one. Number two, the other half of the group that doesn't want this done are not necessarily nice to the ones who do. and it is highly fractured. But I have been told that they have our back. There are a lot of people who have our back on this for their security and protection. I could not have gotten this far and lived to tell the tale unless we did. So in a sense, it's a little macabre, but I'm your canary in the mine shaft. As long as the air is still good and I'm still tweetering, you're fine. A leading indicator that you'd be worried about is that if I disappear. As long as I'm around, because of my role to move this as a prime mover and pull this group together, we can have some encouragement. I think that the people who want to see this happen, who are in positions of power, who don't step up to the plate, often don't feel they can because of familial or peerage or career ambitions or what have you. There's a myriad of reasons why. It doesn't matter. What we have to do is identify the people who will. And so, there's the old saying, many are called but few are chosen. It's a mistranslation. Many are called but few choose to answer the call. So we need to say we're going to answer this and put ourselves at service to. And what I want to vow to do is to be a complete service to you as a scientific and inventor community, but also to the world. I have no personal interest financially, because I don't need it, quite frankly, at this point in my life. My concern, my sole concern, is that we leave the world a better place than we found, and that we are providing the means to transform the planet into its potential to become the womb for the evolution of intelligent life for thousands of generations yet unborn. I'm part Cherokee, and in that tradition, well, some say it's 7 generations, some say 20. But there's this tradition that everything you do should be looking at 7 generations not yet born. But you know what? We're closing out one whole cycle of human evolution that was a 400 and some thousand year cycle. And we've just opened a 500,000 year cycle. And this is the interface. We're the interface. Boom. And so everything we do now, today, will affect 20,000 generations coming behind us, coming in through time, space, and the earth. So this is why, if we understand that, we're going to go the distance no matter what. And I think that now people have realized the earth has been crying, the ice caps are melting, the ice fields are melting in the Himalayas, the oceans are dying. There are enough people in enough places in society who get it. They actually get the fact that we're in a crisis. Now, they should have known that in the 60s and 70s, but they took about 30 years late. But better late than never. Okay, and it's one stroke before midnight, so I suggest we put together what we can to say, don't lose hope. Here is the knowledge, not just the sciences, but the consciousness and the vision to bring these things out for the peaceful rehabilitation of the Earth's fortunes and the establishment of a sustainable civilization on Earth. That's what this is really all about. And if we couch it in those terms, not another business shtick, it's about that. And yes, we have to mind our P's and Q's and do things properly and methodically. I'm an emergency and trauma doctor, and I'm used to doing things of multitasking at multiple levels, high function. But ultimately, the vision that people want to know is that there's a way to go from where we are now to the potential that is within Earth and human civilization. And that potential has been delayed and forestalled for about 100 years. And now it's pent up, it's ready to break forward. Let's let it move forward. And it will carry, because the universe wants this to move forward. It will sweep it along. We just have to go with that flow wisely, and being aware of the boulders in the stream up ahead. And there are a number of them, big ones. But it can be done. And I think that this is the key message I wanted to bring, is that when we have this information come out, imagine the people on the planet who see no way out right now. They don't know that you can extract energy from the quantum vacuum space or zero-point energy field. Imagine the hope and the vision and the joy that will attend that announcement. It's amazing. It will not only be a technological and scientific event, it will in fact be a world encompassing